Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all of you. Today, I would like to speak about something regarding to our lecture about chapter 8. So, firstly, if you can see on the screen, on the display, there is the spin top is rotating, and after that we have four more features, four more animation. At the left, you can see the picture of the globe. But you can see the globe is rotating, and then after that I move the cursor to the mouse is to the right, so you can see the wheel. The wheel of the vehicle, and then at the middle here we have the wheel of the bicycle. So rotate, and then after that we have also at the bottom here the plane, but we are looking on the motion of the propeller of the plane. So the topic of chapter 8 is about rotation of a rigid body. So if you can see just now, all about rotation. So the lecture need to spend about 1 hour. That is cover the level, the lower level, lower order thinking skill, that is the C1, remember, and the second level will be C2, one higher level, that is understand. So this is the overview for the chapter 8, but we are looking on the level C1 and C2, that is lower level, rotation of rigid body. So there are four subtopics actually. So under the rotational kinematics, you are going to learn about rotational linear relation and also rotational motion with uniform angular acceleration. And the second subtopic is about the equilibrium of a uniform rigid body. So where in this subtopic you are going to learn about torque, what is meant by torque, and the condition for the equilibrium of the rigid body. And then after that we have rotational dynamics, where you are going to learn about moment of inertia and the relation between the torque with the angular acceleration. And the last subtopic will be conservation of angular momentum. So under this subtopic, we are going to learn about angular momentum and of course the principle of conservation of angular momentum. Firstly, equilibrium of a rigid body. So I spent about 0.3 hour about this. So because it's covered the lower level, so like define torque. So if you can see on the screen here on the display, there is the symbol of tau. This we read the symbol as tau, and then after that r, and after that f. This all is the vector quantities. So first, what is meant by torque? It's also known as moment of force. The symbol is tau with the arrow head above, means that this torque is a vector quantity. So torque actually is defined as the product of force and its perpendicular distance from the line of action of force to the point, pivot point or rotation axis. So the most important thing here, we need to identify where the rotation exists. And then mathematically, we can write down as tau equal to Ft, where this tau is a magnitude of torque and this force is a force, and then the d here perpendicular distance from the line of action of the force to the rotation axis. And this perpendicular distance also is known as moment arm. So like I said just now, the torque vector quantity, and because d equal to r sine theta, so here we have d equal to r sine theta, where the r here is the distance between the rotation axis and the point of application of force. After this, I will show where is the r, where is the d, and where is the angle theta. And the theta is the angle between the force and also the r here. And this is the magnitude form of torque. I can also write down in terms of vector form, which is tau equal to the vector product or the cross product between the vector r with the force. So like I said just now, it's a vector quantity and the unit is Newton meter. And the unit Newton meter only can be used for torque But like joule, we cannot use joule because joule is the unit for work, and as we know, work is a scalar quantity, but this torque is a vector quantity. And torque also can be defined as the turning effects of the force on the body, turning or twisting effects of the force on a body. So there is a sign convention. There are two sign conventions of torque. It can be positive and negative. If positive, turning tendency of the force is anti-clockwise, and if negative, it will be clockwise. If positive, turning effect will be anti-clockwise. If negative, turning tendency of the force is clockwise. And this value of torque depend on the rotation of the axis and magnitude of the applied force. So based on the formula, torque equal to Fd, where the F is a force and the D is perpendicular distance, so it depends on the rotation axis. So if the rotation axis is changed, so the D also will change. So here I will show you the D. For example, here you have a 1 meter rule, 1 meter long ruler or a meter rule, where you can see the pivot point is at the left end of the meter rule for both. And here we have two force. The first one, the force is perpendicular. You can see the force is perpendicular to the ruler. The second one, the force is the at an angle theta with the ruler. Alright, so this is a D. This we call the perpendicular distance. Alright, the perpendicular distance between the force, perpendicular distance between the force, point of action of force with the pivot point or rotation axis. So you can see this is the right angle between force and the D. So that's why we call D here is a perpendicular distance, or we also call as a moment arm. Alright, so that's the D for the uppercase. The lowercase, okay, D, so this is the formula that we apply, tau equal to Fd to find the magnitude. And then if you can see, if you keep the pivot point here, the rotation axis, so it will fit, and then the tendency of this ruler to rotate will be anti-clockwise based on the application of the force. All right, upward here, so anti-clockwise will be positive. So the torque for this case is positive. All right, for the second case here, the lower case, so this is the point of pivot point or rotation axis. Here we call the point of action of force. This we call the point of action of force. And then after that, we draw a line. Okay, this is we call the arc. The line from the point of action of force to the pivot point. So this is the arc, the distance between the point of action of the force to the rotation axis. So this is the arc. So you can see this angle is the angle between the force and with the arc. And then from here, we can draw the line of action of force. All right, this we call the line of action of force, where the force acting along this line. That's why we call this is line of action of force. And then after that, from line of action of force, we can draw the perpendicular distance. All right, from perpendicular distance, so we draw a line. So this is the line, this is the D. That is the line, the line that connect the line of action of force with the pivot point, and then we have the perpendicular angle here. So this we call perpendicular distance. And if you look at here, this is the right, this line R, line of action force, and also the D line here form a right angle triangle, a right angle triangle. And then if you look at from here, so the R here is the hypotenuse, and this is opposite. So if I also can write down D as a R sine theta, because opposite divided by hypotenuse, we got sine of this angle theta, so that the D equal to R sine theta. And then after that, I can expand the d here because d equal to r sine theta. So the equation can be write down as fr sine theta. And then if based on this, the turning effect, if you keep this pivot point, and then after that you apply this force, so it will turn the ruler into anti-clockwise direction, and then it's also positive. Okay, so the next lesson is about equilibrium of uniform rigid body. So this is the application where when the rigid body in equilibrium, in this case, the rigid body is like the board, the seesaw board, like the ladder. So this is also rigid body. The crane itself, the arm of the crane. So this is the rigid body, the rigid body. So this is the rigid body, the board, and this is a ladder. And then also the pole, that pole AB that support the traffic light. All right. So this four system in equilibrium. So what is the condition for this rigid body to be equilibrium? All right, there are two conditions. The first one, for the rigid body in equilibrium. So first, the sum of the all forces acting on that body must be zero. So if non-zero, so the body will not accelerate. So from the chapter about Newton's law of motion, that is second law, if the body not in equilibrium, so the net force will equal to ma. In this case, the net force equal to zero because all the vector sum of all the forces acting on the body is zero. And after that, the component also will be zero. Okay. The second one will be the vector sum of all torque acting on the rigid body also must be zero for the rigid body in equilibrium. Is one of them not been obeyed, so the rigid body will not in equilibrium. Okay, the torque will equal to zero, the net torque. All right, so next we go to the rotational kinematics. So like I said, this lecture is only cover remember and understanding. So like the higher level, like the analyze level and the application level, will be discussed in the tutorial session. All right. So the outcome for this rotational kinematics, there are two outcomes for the C1 and C2. The first one, we are going to define, we were going to see what is angular displacement, where the symbol is theta, and after that, average angular velocity, where the symbol of angular velocity is omega. So we have the subscript AV, means stand for the average, and then we have the instantaneous angular velocity, and then after that, of course, average angular acceleration, where the symbol of angular acceleration is alpha, and then after that, the instantaneous angular acceleration. Right, that is for definition of some of the terms in the rotational kinematics. And after that, the second outcome will be the relationship between the rotational motion parameters with their corresponding quantities in linear motion, such as, for example, theta is in linear motion, the s in the theta in the rotational motion, but the s here in linear motion, omega in the angular motion or rotational motion, v in linear motion, and we have here the alpha angular acceleration is the parameters in rotational motion. How we going to relate with the linear acceleration? And this is the symbol of the centripetal acceleration. All right. So firstly, what is actually is angular displacement symbolized by theta? So that I would like to bring in the this is the rotating. First, this compact disc must be rotating. If you can see here, we have a reference line, and then the curved arrow here show the rotation of this compact disc, where this compact disc rotate in the anti-clockwise direction. So let's say we have a point on the reference line, and then after that, within t seconds, this point will rotate, will move from point on the reference line to the point P. All right, after t time. And then if you can see, we got the theta here, we get the r. The r here is the distance between the rotation to the location of the point. This is the r. Some of them like to use the term like radius. and this theta is the angle turned through after certain time, and this S we also can call as arc length, and this this theta we call angular displacement, and the unit here we use here SI unit for the angle or angular displacement is radian. And then after that we have the arc length. So the SI unit for any length, whether it's arc or straight line, so the length always be using SI unit, that is meter. And then after that we have the R, radius of the circle. So because if this point make a complete rotation, so it will form a circle. So that's why we call this R as the radius, because they compact this in a rotational motion. Alright, so this is the meaning of displacement. Angular displacement, theta, is the angle turned through which a point or line has been rotated in a specific direction about a specific axis. So if you can see, we have a specific term words here, so it means that it must be a specific direction, a specific axis. And then, like I said just now, the unit of this angular displacement in radian. So if the problem give you in degree, you need to convert into radian, where we have the conversion factor between degree and radian. Pi radian equal to 180 degrees, 2 pi radian equal to 360 degrees. And after that you can change whether from radian to degrees or degrees to radian. And this is the relation between the arc length or linear length with the angular displacement, S equal to R theta. So this is the other unit of angular displacement. You may use degrees and also revolution. This is the conversion factor, like I have mentioned just now. 1 revolution equal to 2 pi radian and also equal to 360 degrees. So with this conversion factor, you can convert radian into degrees, or degrees into radian, or radian into revolution, because 1 revolution 2 pi radian. And as well as a torque, we also have sign convention for angular displacement. If positive, anti-clockwise. If negative, it will be clockwise. And now we are going to the next parameters in the kinematic of rotation of rigid body, that is angular velocity, where the symbol is omega. So we have two type of the angular velocity. One is average, another one instantaneous. Firstly, we look at on the average angular velocity, symbolized by the omega with the subscript AV, where the AV stands for the average. So it's defined as a rate of change of angular displacement. Mathematically, we can write down as the omega AV equal to delta theta, or change of angular displacement, divided by change of t is time, where the symbol delta here is referred to the change. Alright, so the average instantaneous angular velocity will be instantaneous rate of change of angular displacement, where we have the limit where the change of time is approaches 0. Therefore, the formula for the instantaneous angular velocity will become d theta per dt. It's a vector quantity like the linear velocity. If the linear velocity is a vector quantity, so that this angular velocity also is a vector quantity. So the unit is radian per second, SI unit, and the other unit where the revolution per minute, revolution per second, and so on. And when a body make a rotational motion, every particle that compose the rigid body have same angular velocity, right? Have same angular velocity. So this is very important reminder for all of you. So the next parameter will be angular acceleration, where the symbol is alpha. So we have also two types. One is average, another one is instantaneous angular acceleration. All right, it's a rate of change of angular velocity, and the formula is alpha average is the omega 2 minus omega 1 divided by T2 minus T1, where the 1 is represent initial and the 2 is final. And then we also can write down as delta omega for delta T, where delta always represent change. Meanwhile, the instantaneous angular acceleration is the instantaneous rate of change of angular velocity, where the change of time approaches 0. So we have limit approaches 0. So the alpha will equal to d omega to dt. Omega divided by dt means that the change in a very short time approaches 0, maybe less than 1 second. It's a vector quantity. It's same as the linear acceleration. Only the unit is radian per second square. And if alpha is positive, if the angular acceleration is positive, means the omega is increasing. So this happens when the body, rigid body, undergoes increase in speed, or we call speeding up. The rotation is speeding up. So when this happens, the direction of the angular velocity would the direction of the alpha, that is angular acceleration, would same as the angular velocity direction. So that when alpha is positive, when alpha is negative, we can say the omega is decreasing. So the rotation will be slowing down. So it means that the motion of the disc, that is the body in rotational motion, will decrease, that is slowing down. So that direction of the alpha will be opposite direction to the angular velocity, shown by the diagram. All right. So now we are going to look at on the relationship between V and omega, where the V here is the linear velocity and the omega is angular velocity. So this is the rigid body. Rigid body undergoes rotational motion in the anti-clockwise direction. So we have a point P. So the point P is a one particle in the body. All right, and this point P have true angle theta, rotate through angle theta, and the distance of point P to the rotational axis. So the O here, rotational axis, is R. And then we have the arc length made by this particle P, S. And then we have this V. This V we call linear velocity or tangential velocity. And the angle theta is the angle between the reference line, that is the angular displacement, with the final location of the P with the radius. All right. So this is the relation V equal to R omega, where the V is linear velocity or tangential velocity, and the omega is angular velocity, and the R here is the distance between the particle to the rotation axis. In this case is radius of the circle, because the particle P will trace a circular path. All right, the velocity unit same as the chapter 2, that is meter per second, and this V is always tangent to the curve and always make an angle 90 degrees with the radius. That's the reason why we call this V as the tangential velocity or linear velocity. If you look at here, all the particle that compose this body that is in rotational motion will having the same angular velocity or speed. But the tangential speed is not the same, because this tangential speed or linear speed depend on the R, the location of the particle with the rotation axis. So like here, R is changing depend on the position of the particle. Okay, the next relation is the tangential acceleration AT with the alpha angular acceleration. So when the rigid body is speeding up, in anti-clockwise direction shown by the diagram here, the omega will increase. So we have the existence of the acceleration, tangential acceleration. We have also the centripetal acceleration, AC, and the resultant of these two kind of acceleration is acceleration, resultant acceleration. All right. So now we want to look at what is the relation between this ET with the alpha. This ET equal to R alpha, where the ET is tangential acceleration, the R is the distance between the position of the particle to the rotation axis O, and the alpha is angular acceleration. And the unit of A here, same as the unit of acceleration in chapter 2, that is meter per second square. And AC from the chapter 6, circular motion, that AC we have look at, we have went through, the AC is V square over R. And AC V equal to R omega, so that we can write down as R omega square and equal to V omega. Because the body increase in omega in rotation motion, we have existence of two acceleration, that is tangential acceleration due to the alpha, and one more the AC, and that is centripetal acceleration. And the E here is the this is the formula of magnitude of the resultant A, where we apply the Pythagoras theorem. So the AT square plus the EC square. If we have the value of R and alpha, and R with the omega, or V square with the R, we can calculate the EC, ET, and after that we can calculate the magnitude of this resultant A. All right, but the topic, the title is only about the relation between A and alpha, that AT equal to R alpha. This is the relation that relate the tangential acceleration or linear acceleration with the angular acceleration. Okay, next with is about rotational motion with uniform angular acceleration. So in this subtopic here, we're going to look at the analogous parameters between the linear with the angular acceleration or rotational parameters. For example, in linear motion, we have learned about displacement, but in rotational motion, we not use S, but we use theta, that is angular displacement. But both is displacement. Only one is linear displacement, and this is rotational displacement, or it's also known as angular displacement. And the next parameter, that is the initial linear velocity. The rotational motion part will be omega naught. That is the initial angular velocity. And then after that, we have the V, that is the final velocity for the linear motion. But in the rotational motion, we use omega only. All right. So if you find omega here, so this is the final velocity, and omega naught is initial velocity. And then after that, we have A. In linear motion, we have linear acceleration, but in the angular motion or rotational motion, we have alpha. That is referring to the angular acceleration, alpha. And then time remain time, whether it's linear motion or rotational motion, the parameter still time, still same. And then now the next slide will show the analogous equation from the linear motion to the rotational motion with constant acceleration. Okay, we have A is constant, so in the rotational motion we have alpha constant, and then we have V equal to U plus AT for this, for the linear motion, equation of linear motion, equations. And then we have here omega equal to omega naught plus alpha t. And so V equal to U plus AT, analogous to omega equal to omega naught plus alpha t. And then we have S equal to UT plus half AT square, that for the linear motion. At the rotational motion part, we can use S, but we use theta, and the U we replace with omega naught, the A we replace with alpha because it's under the rotational motion. And then after that, we have V square equal to U square plus 2AS at the left for the linear motion. At the right, we have omega square equal to omega naught square plus 2 alpha theta. And then after that, we have one more equation for the linear motion, that is S equal to half V plus UT, where there is acceleration symbol here. So in rotational motion part, we have omega, theta equal to half omega plus omega naught t. And so we must keep in our mind this theta is angular displacement in the unit radian. Alright, next will be 8.3 rotational dynamics. So in this subtopic, we are going to look at on the definition of the moment of inertia, where the symbol is I, and then this is the equation for moment of inertia of rigid body, and then after that we state the torque here equal to I alpha, where the I is moment of the inertia and the alpha is the angular acceleration. Alright, moment of inertia I. So let's say we have a rigid body that undergoes rotational motion. We have maybe billion of particles that compose this rigid body. And then if you look at here, we have M, it represents the mass, M1 for particle 1, M2 for particle 2, M3 particle 3, and Mn for n particles that compose rigid body. And the R here is the distance between the specific mass with rotation axis. And of course, this is the meaning of the moment of inertia, where the symbol is capital I. It is the sum of the products of the mass of each particle and the square of its respective distance from the rotational axis. Mathematically, we can write down as I equal sum from I equal 1 to the n particle product between M with the R and the square. This is the equation to define moment of inertia. If we want to calculate the moment of inertia, we also can apply this equation. So that you're going to look at in the tutorial session. Alright. So remember, the I is moment of inertia, and the M is a mass, and the R is distance of the respective distance from the rotation axis. So this I, moment of inertia, is also known as rotational mass. If mass, linear mass, is a scalar quantity, rotational mass or moment of inertia also a scalar quantity. Alright, the unit, you can see here, moment of inertia, rotational kinematics, analogous to the mass in linear kinematics. So the unit, kilogram meter square. It's not like linear mass, where the mass is kilogram, but moment of inertia or rotation mass, the unit is kilogram meter square. So there are three factors that affect this moment of inertia. First, of course, is about the mass of the body. From the equation, moment of inertia I equal to sum mr square. So the mass is one of the factors that affect moment of inertia. The second one is shape of the body. Different shape will give different moment of inertia. For example, like the cylinder with the sphere, so different shape, so the moment of inertia will be different. And the last one will be the position of the rotational axis also, because when you change the rotational axis, so it will change the R. So from the equation I equal to sum mr square, we can list down, we can get two factors, that the mass and then position of the rotation axis. Okay, so this table shows various moment of inertia for various body. So this for the hoop or ring or thin cylindrical shell. So actually you don't have to remember this. It will be given in the problem. Solid cylinder. So we have the mr square, half mr square. So after that we have a uniform rod. It's like the pencil, for example, where the rotation axis through the center of mass, Cm is center of mass. So it will be half 1 over 12 mr square. And then we have the solid sphere. Solid sphere will be 2 over 5 mr square. Meanwhile, the hollow sphere will be 2 over 3 mr square. And then next will be relation between torque and alpha. So for example, when you rotate the rigid body by applying the force, we apply the force to the edge of this rigid body, so it will cause the body rotate in the anti-clockwise direction. All right, so all the body will start rotate from rest. So we have the existence of the linear acceleration and also angular acceleration. So from here we have the net torque. So the net torque about rotation axis O here will be given by I alpha. So net torque, and this net torque, because the body undergoes rotational motion, is analogous to linear motion. Net force or sum F equal to ma, where the sum F here is net force, where the m is a mass and a is linear acceleration, like in the chapter about force in the problem of Newton's second law of motion. Okay, the last subtopic is about conservation of angular momentum. So in this subtopic, we're going to look at on the angular momentum. So what the meaning of angular momentum? That's why here, if you can see the end of this lesson, this you all should be able to define, means that you're able to remember what is meant by angular momentum, where the symbol is L is equal to I alpha, and then after that state the principle of conservation of angular momentum. The application of this conservation of angular momentum you would discuss in the tutorial session. All right. So the symbol is L. So if you can see, there is a arrowhead on the top of the L here. So it means this angular momentum is a vector quantity, such as linear momentum. Only the difference is the symbol. Linear momentum, the symbol is P, but angular momentum is L, capital L. So this is the meaning of this angular momentum. It's the product of angular velocity of the body with moment of inertia. So mathematically, L equal to I omega. So it's analogous to the linear momentum, P equal to mv. That is the product of mass and linear velocity. It's a vector quantity such as linear velocity, but the unit is not same as the linear velocity, linear momentum. That is, the unit will be kilogram meter square per second. Kilogram meter square per second. So we can remember this unit of the angular momentum by remember the formula of angular momentum, and we also must remember the unit of moment of inertia and also the angular velocity. The SI unit for the moment of inertia or rotational mass is kilogram meter square, and the SI unit for angular velocity is radian per second. If you look at here, there is no radian symbol here, so whether it's with radian or without radian is not wrong, so still right. Okay, the next will be statement of the conservation of angular momentum. So the statement of the conservation of angular momentum is a total angular momentum of the closed rotational system is constant. So mathematically, we can write down I omega equal to constant, because the total angular momentum is a product between I and omega is equal to constant if the system is closed, means that the net torque equal to 0, or the resultant of torque about any rotation axis on the rigid body equal to 0. So this is the condition for the application of principle of conservation of angular momentum. And from here, we can deduce one very important relation, which is the initial total angular momentum equal to the final total angular momentum. And usually we apply this principle to the rotational motion, the body in rotational motion, such as a ballet dancer, spinning top, or any rotational motion in a closed system where there is no slowing down of motion, frictional force and torque. For example, here we have a man hold two dumbbell. Initially is outstretched and is stand on the platform, free to rotate. So it's rotate, and after that, when it's bring the dumbbell towards his hand, so the rotational motion getting faster. So to explain about this, why the omega is getting increased, or the motion, the angular motion getting faster, we can apply conservation of angular momentum. All right, so this is the the C1 and the C2 content of the chapter about rotational of rigid body. Okay, so the end. So the next chapter is about chapter 9, simple harmonic motion. So since we have so to check whether you understand what I have delivered, so I want you to answer the question, the objective question, where I will give the link online. So online using the form, so you can use your handphone, and then you just type this link, or you just scan this QR code. So after that, I want you to answer that question within the time given. Okay, thank you very much because staying with me, and bye bye for now.